Hello, everyone. Welcome to Casey's Corner. I am your host, Casey Kendall. We are brought to you by Prosperity North Advisors. Joining me today, very special guest, Danjee Moser from Gateway Plumbing and Restoration. Thank you for being here, Danjee. I really appreciate this.
Pleasure, bro.
This has been a long time coming, I feel like, and we're finally here.
That's right. I've been begging to be on.
So let's plug the book, Commercial Insurance Simplified, a real-world approach for small business owners. Have the link in the description for that, or if you want a free copy, I'll get that over to you. So let's jump right in. Danjee,
Yeah.
thank you for being here.
Appreciate
Let's start off. Tell us about yourself, and then tell us about Gateway Plumbing and Restoration.
Well, I'm pretty boring, man.
That's not true.
I was born and raised in Montana on a cattle ranch, large cattle ranch. If you could think of anything, it's a lot like Yellowstone. We just didn't have the Yellowstone, the movie. We just didn't have a train station.
No drama.
we didn't have a bath and we didn't have a train station. But yeah, no, I lived there for most of my life and then moved to Arizona in '99 to race motocross and
Wow.
met my wife and yeah, got trapped here for the rest of my life. And started my first business in 2000. And yeah, from there it was just 4 kids and been married for 27 years.
Wow, good for you. What class were you racing in motorcycles?
So the class on a local level just below pro. So and on a national level B. So A class is pro. Then you have your elite pros that are sponsored, and I was a B class rider.
Like Supercross.
Those are the big guys. Yeah. We at an A level you can qualify, which I was hoping to get to be able to qualify to race Supercross.
Mm-hmm.
But I never got quite there, and I got to the B class. Took a real bad accident, broke 26 bones in my body.
At one time?
One time, dude.
Oh my gosh.
A
What
bunch of ribs, compound fractured my jaw. I broke my leg in like 17 places, a couple ribs. Yeah, it was really, really bad.
Wow.
I was unconscious for a long time.
Wow.
In a coma for 3 days.
Whew.
So the doctor said if I wanted to get coloring books for Christmas for the rest of my life, I keep racing. So I said, all right.
Well, what size bike?
I raced 450 and 250. I raced arena cross, so I raced both the 450 and 250 class.
Okay.
Yeah.
The 450 is 4-stroke.
They're both 4-stroke. So, sorry, I should have said the 125 and the 250. So, the 4-stroke 450 and the 4-stroke 250 is what I raced back then.
Got it.
Old. Now it's a little different.
I bought a sponsored YZ 250 back in 1997.
Nice.
Before that, I had a 1988 Honda CR 250.
Yeah.
And then when I bought that race bike, the only thing stock on it was the swing arm.
Wow.
And that bike constantly tried to kill me.
I love it. Yeah.
It was way more than I ever needed.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. So tell us about Gateway Plumbing and Restoration.
Well, we started in 2000. In 2016, I owned a glass company that I started 20 years before that. I owned a general contracting company in the middle, and kind of we dissolved that. The glass company I was at when I started Gateway Plumbing and Restoration, which was in 2016. A friend of mine called me and goes, "Hey, I got let go from my job, and I got some accounts. You want to just sponsor me or partner with me, and we'll start a restoration company?" And I said, "Sure." So it was kind of a out of the blue opportunity, and he just came into our office and started working out of there and with the glass company. And then shortly after, we ended up separating the glass company and got rid of everything and sold it. And I just jumped right into restoration full time. So in 2016 is when it started, but about 2017 is when I really got into it.
Into the restoration. What was the first job you had?
My first job worked for my dad, chasing cows and doing stuff like that. Yeah, it was awesome.
What about the first Gateway job?
First Gateway. Oh, geez, that's hard to remember, man. I don't remember what the first job was with Gateway. I mean, I was a CEO, so I operated as well. There was only 2 of us in the beginning, and we didn't sleep. We just worked, so we operated in every position. But I know one of our first jobs that was really challenging. We had a Walgreens that flooded completely. completely out.
Wow.
We had to move that all out. And that was, that was a big job. And for the two of us, it took a lot.
I bet. Is there a big difference between a commercial restoration and a residential restoration?
Yeah. Yeah. The main difference is the time you want to get, because they're losing money every second that they're out of there.
Sure.
Right. So the faster you can get something done on a commercial level, it's the better. So we've designed kind of a system that helps get that done quicker. You can't really speed up the drying process. The best part about commercial is that they've kind of figured out how to do that better.
Mm-hmm.
They run cove base, your rubber cove base. Very few of them have carpet.
Yeah.
They know how to do it right.
We sit on top of carpet.
Right. But very few. And it's usually steel frame construction. So the steel frame doesn't suck up any water.
Sure.
So it's a lot quicker to do that. But yeah, the time frame's by far the biggest difference between, and some of the liabilities involved with restoration when it comes to commercial or residential.
Did you know you always wanted to be a business owner, work for yourself?
And I would say that I did not. There was a time at my 35 years old, I woke up. You may have done this. Most people are not just don't think about the future.
Yeah.
I live it in the now my entire life. And I woke up about 35 and I'm like, what the heck am I doing here? How did I even get here?
Sure.
Right? Got all these kids. I got a business, 2 businesses. And I wondered what kind of decisions I had made and why I hadn't made better ones, or why I hadn't made them on purpose. And so, no, I don't know that I did know that I was going to be a business owner, but I do know that I've always wanted to achieve something great. I've always probably expected more of myself than I actually am capable of.
Yeah. You might as well make your dreams come true and send to somebody else's.
I guess so. Yeah, even the bad ones. Huh?
Yeah. What are some challenges maybe early on that you faced when you first started going?
Yeah. Well, my first business I started was interesting. I only had borrowed $1,000 from my brother-in-law.
Wow.
And started it in my garage, and it grew to, a multi-million-dollar glass company. The biggest challenge there was not knowing anything. I didn't know anything about business, right? And so that was huge. With Gateway, though, I think with Gateway Plumbing and Restoration, the hardest thing to figure out was scaling fast,
Mm-hmm.
scaling properly, the importance of good processes and procedures, standard operating procedures, SOPs, and then accountability. And the number one thing that I struggled with always was people. Finding the right people, knowing how to find the right people, how to keep the right people, and how to do all that stuff. That was the hardest juggle and always has been.
I think that's pretty consistent in everything. I know that's one of my biggest challenges is how do you find the right fit for this job? Because what I do isn't easy, what you do isn't easy, and nobody's going to care as much as you and I sitting on top of that pyramid.
Yeah.
And I think in the gig economy, if you will, people think that it's a come and go type of thing. And I don't know, I hear a lot of feedback from business owners that I talk to that they can't find anybody who wants to work, which I find very interesting. What separates a successful contractor from someone who is struggling?
Revenue.
Yeah, bottom line.
Bottom line. I think what makes a successful one, like I've watched people a lot, and the most successful contractors that I see are the ones who, first of all, know their numbers. Because a lot of contractors were contractors. They were swinging hammers.
Mm-hmm.
When you stop swinging hammers and you start pushing pencils, things are different. And it's scary because, most contractors or most guys that operate in the service industry, they're like, well, my wife handles the bills. I bring home my check. So the most successful guys I've seen are the ones who are able to make that switch or never did, and they just knew their numbers and they knew how to make those numbers work, run their business. because the business side of it is the most terrifying for a lot of people. And so, and it's easy to try to ignore them. You know, you ignore the things that are the most scary to you when you first start out. And the people that I've found that are the best at it are the ones that truly know their numbers. And the second thing that they do, without a doubt, is they set up good SOPs, right? They just plain do. They know exactly what they want. They know how they want to do it. They set it all up and they make sure that it's running properly. How they do it, I don't 100% know. I mean, I won't consider myself non-successful. But my biggest challenge is setting up all of the SOPs, setting up the expectations, making sure everybody understands them, putting all of the processes and procedures in place, you know, accountability, all of that. It's a very difficult thing, and it's a constantly changing thing.
My wife likes to call it inspecting what you expect.
Nice.
Yeah. Those will make or break you.
Totally.
100%.
I always say trust but verify.
Yeah, that's
trust people, but I have some sort of a system that's going to verify that they're doing what they need to do. Because I think I need that as well.
Yeah.
I have to even set up my own accountability.
Yeah. Oh, that's huge too. Yep. Is I mean, I ask myself every day, what did you do to contribute to your empire?
Yeah.
And if I ask my sons that too, what have you done to contribute to our empire? So those are very important. Let's shift into the actual restoration process itself.
Okay.
Walk us through like what a restoration project is involved, whether that's fire, flood, any type of disaster. I mean, you're dealing with possibly a homeowner or a business owner who is emotionally wrapped up.
Sure.
You know, they could have just lost, you know, grandma's pictures.
Yeah.
So what does that process involve?
Well, man, so the thing I see the most is that vulnerability is probably the most dangerous thing for the homeowner or business owner, because they're naturally inclined to trust, like a person who's drowning. Someone comes out there, they're going to cling to them even if they're sinking.
Sure.
You throw them a rock, they're going to grab it because they are looking for any help. And what happens in Arizona or not just in Arizona, but what happens to a lot of people is that they just cling to whatever recommendation they get from either the plumber that they call out first or the fire department or the whatever, and they just go with that. And unfortunately, there's a lot of unscrupulous people. There's a lot of businesses that have been built off from that type of vulnerability where they can take advantage in a lot of ways. And then they either take advantage of the homeowner or they take advantage of the insurance company, which then affects all of our rates and everything else that goes around. And so what I see mostly is that issue. But as far as the process goes, you know, they're all totally different. Fire, water, except mold. Mold is not an emergency. So your emergency stuff, your fire, your water, or your accident, those things have to be dealt with. First of all, security. You triage the situation, right? You help the homeowner file a claim or make a good decision not to file a claim. Because a lot of people think, oh, I'll just file the claim, when in reality, that was probably not a good decision based upon their deductible, on how much it's actually going to cost, some other things. Does it really make sense to file a claim? But because they don't know what else to do, they file the claim just because that's a natural thing. And a lot of people don't have a local agent or a broker that they can go to, that they can trust, and that's not good either. Anyway, so as far as the process goes, though, it's getting it triaged, and then it's getting everything established and set up so that it's not going to cause any collateral or secondary damage. You know, like if you get water intrusion, you don't want mold, so you've got to get things started, get things dried up so that you don't have mold starting that's going to cause secondary damage that may or may not be covered. You know, fire, you want to board everything up, secure the building, secure all of that stuff, and kind of triage is the number one. Then from there, it depends on whether it goes insurance or whether we're just taking the care of it for the homeowner, whether we get right on the job or we file the claim and wait for adjusters. And there's just a lot of different variables.
I think what I've seen, and I don't do personal insurance, so to speak, but I think where a lot of people maybe this is your insurance tip of the day, everyone watching, is check your deductible. Because a lot of times it'll be 1 to 2% of whatever your dwelling cost is.
Sure.
And if that's 500,000, well, guess what? That's $5,000.
Yeah.
Or it could be 10 grand at 2%. So people have to be aware of those types of things. Is it typically like the restoration company on the scene first is who's going to win that?
Yes, in a lot of cases. However, most of the time, what's happened is that, and one of the reasons that we do plumbing now, so that people can call us for the plumbing, and you're not going to get this conflict of interest of someone else getting referred out. It's turnkey. Like if we refer ourselves and we screw up, we screw up. Not not this whole. But typically it's people get a referral from someone. They think that they can trust that person. Now, and many times that's the insurance company. And what they don't understand is they call the 1-800 number. They're getting sent to a TPA, a third-party administrator.
Yeah.
A third-party administrator is then just taking someone who has insurance, has a license, and hasn't had enough complaints to get kicked off and sending that. And a lot of times they're doing it because those people agreed to pricing that shouldn't be done, shouldn't be agreed to, because it's not enough to actually get people back to where they really need to be.
To indemnify them.
To indemnify them. And that, unfortunately, is a sad deal. But as far as who gets the job, it really comes down to who they trust, and that has to do with the recommendation of who they got. And then, when we show up, it's about trying to just give them the best. In some cases, maybe we're not always the best choice for their particular situation, and we need to know that and make sure that they get to the right hands. But I do think it's a lot. It's a race, who's fastest, who's there first, which it shouldn't be.
Almost like chasing ambulances.
I hate it. I hate it. We just don't do it.
Yeah. What are some of the biggest plumbing issues that you see?
The biggest ones in Arizona that I see are going to be just your water heaters, because water heater popping, and in Arizona, they don't put a pan under all of them, especially when they're tract homes. So they end up leaking a lot. But one of the biggest issues that I see that people don't understand is slab leaks, because prior to 2011 or so, most of our plumbing was run through the foundation or under the foundation. And so when a slab leaks, it means it leaks underneath that foundation, and it can leak forever.
Like the plumbing is poured right into it. The concrete is either covering or it's within the concrete.
It's not supposed to be within the concrete without a sleeve. So no, now I have seen it, but yeah, it's usually between 8 and 10 inches at least, at minimum, below, and it should be 16 inches below the bottom of the foundation, or approximately that. I can't remember the exact code. You'll have to forgive me. And it's embedded in sand, or it should be, and then the foundation's on top. But what happens then is that the pipe that leaks 18 inches below that is now leaking into porous, sand, expansive soil. It can leak for a long time. It takes a long time to saturate all that dirt underneath the foundation before it actually pushes itself up through the foundation to where you see it. The only other way you see it is when it's on your water bill.
Yeah.
So when a water bill is way high, people will be like, "Oh, why is my water bill so high?" And they don't even understand it. They start yelling at their kids for taking long showers.
Sure. Well, I mean, water is huge, obviously, here in Arizona, and then specifically like in the East Valley, Gilbert. That's probably the biggest issue. I think that'll come down to the local election is how water is handled.
Sure.
Just because of the sheer cost, and the cutoff of the Colorado River is a total different conversation. Right. But I didn't think about like water seeping down and then eventually pushing back up to finally reveal itself. It seems like you could even have it to where it might be exposed over here, but the leak is somewhere else.
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
And it can be hot water or cold.
Wow.
So that's kind of not good, right? When hot water is just, in fact, we just got done with one a couple days ago. Our thermal imaging, it could see exactly where the leak was because it was hot. And it had been hot for months there, he said. He didn't realize. So his hot water had just been running. I mean, think of the expense that is.
So that leads me, like, you've got a lot of cool tools that I've seen with interactions with you in the past, to where you can basically point something at a wall and say, okay, there's your hot spot, or your cold spot, or whatever that is. Can you tell us about some of the tools and technology that you're using?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they did it without it, man. Before the thermal imaging is awesome. We all have thermal imaging cameras so that we can literally see if it's hot or cold. It doesn't tell moisture, but when things are evaporating or it's hot water, it's going to give us a heat signature, and they're super sensitive. They give us a really good indication of where water is or isn't, and where heat is. And the other thing we use is called a protometer. Protometer is could be considered a wet check or water meter, and that actually has prongs that go into the wall, into the floor, and will give you a reading of how much moisture is in there. It also will slide along a wall and read up to 6 to 8 inches deep on moisture, and will give you a reading as well. And we also use some of the cool stuff that we're using more and more now is Matterport scans, which are 3D scans, almost like Google Earth. You're like walking through the house, like Google Maps or whatever. We also use DocuSketch. DocuSketch is another one that is 3D renderings of the home. We do pre, during, and post. So in the middle of the job, at the very beginning, we take a scan, in the middle, and at the end. So that then we have full documentation for the insurance company. They know exactly. They won't even be coming out soon. I guarantee it.
If somebody has let's say a fire, does that give that homeowner an opportunity to change something within the house, where they're like, you know what, I always hated that wall. Yeah. And if we could get rid of it.
It's a great question, man. That's a great question. Yeah, totally. So what the insurance company will pay is for like, kind, and quality to pre-loss condition. And so they're going to give you that. And that's what we fight for, right? Is to get them your like, kind, and quality and your pre-loss condition. And then anything over and above that, you can pay a little bit extra, and you can change anything you want. All they care about is that it's built back to at least do pre-loss condition or better.
Okay.
So we can move walls, we can put in different flooring, we can change cabinets. We do it all the time.
And they would just come out with the difference.
Just the difference. And many times we can get it done for the same amount.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's super cool.
Do a remodel and get a bunch of stuff done. So, yeah, it's a cool opportunity. And, it's funny how that goes. Yeah.
Let's turn that into a positive. Like, what? We're just going to make this a great room now.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't tell your neighbors.
What is an expensive homeowner mistake after something like water damage?
Well, I think the worst mistake you make is calling the insurance company first.
Okay.
That's the worst mistake a person can make, because you call them, they're not going to ask you how bad is it, what's going on, how much. They might ask you how much is affected, but first of all, you're not getting any coaching. So you might say something stupid, like say it happened 2 days before that, but then you call when you finally see it. You're like, well, I think it might have been going for a couple of days. So now you've just got yourself in a gray area where the insurance company might deny the claim that should be done.
Because you didn't make efforts to mitigate the risk.
Just to not say things that you don't actually know. I'm not saying to lie. Just don't say things you're just talking conversationally, and they're recording it always. And so that's not to mention they're going to file a claim. As soon as you're done with that conversation, be like, well, here's your claim number. We'll assign an adjuster. They'll be in touch in the next 24 to 48 hours or 6 weeks, depending on the insurance company, right? But that's one of the most expensive problems that I see, because then it's like they jumped on a water slide and they're just going, because now they've got the claim. They're going to call out a restoration company. They're going to do this. And next thing you know, the homeowner's kind of out of control of what's happening. The rates go up. It's a mess. Mm-hmm. So it's expensive for a lot of people. One of the biggest mistakes that they make too is they don't keep record of their stuff, their personal belongings.
Oh.
So no records, no VIN, no identification numbers, no photos, no nothing. So then when all this stuff gets damaged, all this really important stuff, they have no documentation of it. So then they're coming back saying, well, this was this and this and this, and there's no documentation.
Yeah.
So they don't get reimbursed for some of that stuff. So that's a big mistake that they make. But
that's a pre-disaster plan.
It is.
Yeah.
You got to be prepared for it. Super important. And I don't think nobody thinks about it. It's not going to happen to me.
Well, I mean, this isn't an insurance conversation, but being that I'm in insurance, here's what I will say. And I commonly say this to a lot of my clients. And when you're dealing with something like that, especially in a claims situation, whether it's auto, your home, your business, or something like that, first of all, you only answer the question. Exactly. It's kind of like talking to a cop, like answer the question and then be quiet, right? Because anything you say can and will be used against you. Absolutely. Because insurance companies, you're not in good hands. They're not on your side, and that lady in the blue apron hates you. They're for-profit organizations that have their name on buildings and stadiums for a reason, right? Because they're not in the business of paying claims.
And they perform a great service, but they are in it to make money.
Absolutely, 100%. When someone has water damage, what is their first response? What should it be?
Well, stop the water.
Stop it. Mitigate the risk.
Know where to turn off your water. If you can turn off the water coming into the house, first, at least you've stopped the water. That's number one. Or stop the fire. If something's on fire, don't call first. Get that stuff turned off if you can. The second thing is mitigate damage by taking some of the boxes on the ground, things like that that have special things. Get those up off the ground, get them away from the water. And honestly, the next thing is call a trusted restoration company. There's not very many out there, so be careful. Gateway's great. Gateway Plumbing and Restoration. Be there in a second. Or call your insurance agent or broker. I believe that is the two best things you can do. They have people that they trust in a lot of cases. Now, some agents and brokers do not try to help with the claims process at all. If that's the case, I'd probably suggest they get a new agent or broker, because if I'm going to call my agent or broker, I want my agent or broker to give me somebody that they trust.
100%.
I use them for my insurance. I trust them. I'd like to know who they trust. And the agent or broker cares about the customer. The insurance company does not necessarily.
Absolutely.
That's a total difference.
100%.
And so I would get a good trusted person would be the final thing that I would say. But that's what I would do, is just triage it, or shut off the water, stop the damage, stop whatever's happening, triage it as best you can, and then make a phone call to someone trusted that can help you out.
You and I had a conversation a couple of years ago around water, and it was I think you asked me a question where it was like, do you know where your main shutoff valve is? And beyond walking to the curb and sticking my hand in the Black Widow box, I don't. Yeah. And so actually had the main installed. That way, when I leave the house for the weekend or, a period of time, hey, that's the last thing I do is I crank that thing off. Because I got to practice what I preach here. Right, man. What are some warning signs that a homeowner would see and maybe even choose to ignore?
Well, high water bill is one.
Yeah.
Right? And if it stays consistent for a few months or more, I would, man. And even at that time, it doesn't make sense. I say if it's really high 1 month, and then you watch it halfway through the month or something of that nature, maybe go out and turn off all your faucets and just watch the dial on your water meter. If it's still moving and all your water's off, something's leaking.
Yeah.
And that's super important. If you need help, you can call Gateway. We'll explain it, help you understand it. Ask Grok, ask AI, though it'll be able to explain it as well. But leaking water under a foundation is one of the things you wouldn't see the most. Another thing that you might not recognize when a toilet is just constantly flowing. People ignore that. The problem is if there's any kind of an obstruction in the toilet, or it somehow gets vacuum broken, it gets stuck, and water won't go past the P-trap for whatever reason, then your toilet will overflow. And that's all Cat 3 water is what we call it, and everything that
gray water. Everything
that came beyond the P-trap has to be removed. So you have to get rid of a lot of that stuff.
I have a funny toilet story.
All right. Scary when you say that.
Well, my best friend, he was coming into town. His kid was probably 7 or 8 years old, and the toilet was the original toilet from when we bought the house, and it had one little black mark on the bottom of it. And we could never get rid of it. I scrubbed it with pumice, everything. Could never get rid of that little black mark. And my buddy, he said, we might have an issue. What are the odds of you replacing that toilet before we come out from California next time? And I said, what the hell are you talking about? And he goes, my kid won't go to the bathroom in the guest room.
OCD about it.
And I said, no problem. I will replace the toilet. It probably needs to be replaced anyway.
Wow.
So the day before they got there, I grabbed the toilet and it went, whew, and I ended up being able to pull it off because it had been leaking so much that it had rotted. It was on the second story. It had rotted. So here I am. I got friends coming in. It's a holiday weekend, and I cut out all of my floor to replace that subfloor, and then mounted the new toilet. So, maybe the OCD saved us. It was like, I can't believe I'm replacing the toilet at 9:30 at night.
Wow. Not only you had to replace the subfloor too.
So, yeah, well, it was to the point to where I'm a big guy. If I would have sat on that thing, I probably would have ended up in the kitchen.
That's awesome.
How did I get here? What's the craziest job you've ever been called out on?
So 2 years ago, was it 2 years? 2021, when we had all those tons of water. We had a great monsoon, great and terrible. There was a lady up in Scottsdale who had a basement home, and she was at the base of Camelback, and the water was coming down Camelback in one of those ditches, and it got blocked at the culvert, and then drained over, and then went into her house and filled her entire basement and a foot of the inside of her house up.
Wow.
100% full. Yeah, that was crazy, and it was about a 4,000 square foot basement. So thousands of gallons of water we had to get out of there. That was a crazy one. I felt terrible. House was paid for, so she wasn't insured. That's something not just to quickly allude. There's so many people, they pay for their house. They're like, okay, my house is paid for. I'm not going to worry about it. And they drop their insurance to like a bare minimum of almost nothing. And man, is that terrible.
Yeah.
These people that work their whole life to pay it off, and then a fire happens or a flood happens, and the next thing you know, they don't have the money to cover it. We've had multiple homes like that. The house was paid for and there was no insurance on it.
That's wild. I think I remember that storm because I actually referred one of my Gilbert, Arizona clients to you who had a leak come in, and it came down the wall from the roof, and
in their bathroom and stuff.
It took it all out. Yeah. And they absolutely sung your praises. So thank you for that. Let's take a quick break.
Yeah.
We're going to hear from Prosperity North Advisors. Take it away.
Commercial insurance can be complicated, and most business owners don't realize they're exposed until something goes wrong. At Prosperity North Advisors, we work with all types of businesses: startups, established companies, sole proprietors, and teams from 5 to 100 employees. No matter the size or stage of your business, we can handle it. We specialize in assisted living, pest control, and service-based businesses. We know exactly how to handle your risk. Fleet of vehicles, we can help. Work comp challenges, we got you. State or vendor compliance, same day turnaround on your documents, guaranteed. And in most cases, we're helping clients save 15 to 20% while actually improving their coverage. So if you're not 100% confident in your business insurance, it's probably worth a conversation. Prosperity North Advisors. Our mission is to protect your prosperity.
And we are back. Thank you very much, Prosperity North Advisors, for all your commercial insurance needs. Be sure to check them out. We are here with Danjee Moser from Gateway Plumbing and Restoration. Again, thank you for being here. We've talked a lot about like specific disasters. We talked about how you got started, and we've hammered insurance. And the role it plays in what you're doing. I kind of want to shift a little bit into more of like your personal philosophies on networking, what books you're reading, those types of things. And when we had breakfast one time, and I was actually blown away with your knowledge, like your just reading knowledge. Uh, and I know you have a lot of thinking time because you're doing Ironmans and stuff. But let's talk about like your leadership style and what that looks like. How do you build a team that a customer can trust that's walking into their home, especially in that vulnerable state?
And that's a good question, man. First of all, I mean, building a team that you trust, period, is difficult, but it's not. You know what I've recognized mostly is that people aren't bad. Leadership's bad, right? In a lot of cases, people are good in some scenarios and terrible in other ones. You ask me to go do water polo or water ballet, I'm going to be the worst possible person at that.
Sure.
And you can't just make anybody anything. You can't motivate unmotivated people. You can't make untrustworthy people trustworthy. Meaning you have to make sure you're hiring the right people. And so as a leader, the most important thing is, how do you figure out how to trust a person and how to figure out that up front in the interview process, to be able to determine, are these the kind of people that I can trust to go out there and uphold the name and to do what needs to be done? And I've failed miserably, like many, many times. And not because these people weren't necessarily trustworthy, they didn't necessarily know how to do what they needed to do to be trustworthy. Because it's all about the knowledge that they have, their ability to make good decisions, think on their feet, not be a robot.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be able to think for themselves, things like that, in my industry especially. Because when they go into a situation, it's not a one size fits all, and it's not a cookie
Definitely
cutter.
a snowflake.
Yeah, you have to figure out lots of different situations, and you have to figure out a person. You have to care about a person, because trust can be broken by not fulfilling expectation. And when you don't even ask what the person's expectations are, and you have your own expectations, and that's all you care about fulfilling, you're going to ruin trust automatically. And so there's a lot that goes into that question that you just asked of how do you create a team of people you can trust to send into there. But I do think that I've figured it out. First of all, is take it slow.
Mm-hmm.
Never hire off desperation. Never hire out of fear or greed. Those are super important things that I've found reflect almost instantaneously in the outcome. If you hire out of fear or greed, you will get exact opposite of whatever you're hiring for.
That's amazing. Go ahead.
So crazy. So if you hire because, oh my gosh, I'm afraid that I can't keep up with this and I can't do that and I can't do this, that person will end up leaving you and leave you in a worse position than you were before. And the fear will just be greater when you actually have to face it. So it's smarter to just face it and wait till you hire just the right person. And so if you feel fear before you make a decision on hiring, don't do it. And if you're doing it out of greed, like, oh, if I hire this person, I can make this much more money, something will happen where you ends up costing you. I've seen it over and over and over again.
Square peg, circle hole. Yeah, I get that. How do you handle difficult customers? I actually passed you a lead one time. It shot up in my head, and I was like, oh yeah, that guy. I passed you a difficult guy. Yeah. Who, man, I had a heck of a time writing his insurance. And then when he had a claim, I was like, I've only got one guy for this, and it's Danjee, because he needs someone who's going to meet him where he's at.
Well, that's a key point. That's a key point. And I think that you have those people that are out there to try to take advantage.
Mm-hmm.
No one's ever going to take care of them in a way that is going, because they're not a win-win personality. They're a win-lose. They want to win. They want you to lose, and that's just how they are.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the only way to deal with those is to just go through it. It's like Buffalo, when they have a storm, they just go through it. They keep walking through it, where a lot of things will turn their back and just wait the storm out. You can't do that with people like that. It'll just cost you more money and cause you more problems. So you just have to patiently walk forward with it and just trudge through until they're taken care of, because there are some people like that. Most of the people, I believe that most people are good. A country song just rings in my heart. And I believe that most of it is misunderstanding. And misunderstandings happen because the people that should be trusted are not doing trustworthy things. And that doesn't mean they're doing bad things. It just means they're not truly trying to figure out what the person needs. You can't fulfill a need you don't know. And that's what I drum down with my people, is that you've got to understand what they need. They won't be a difficult customer if you just figure out what they truly need and listen.
Yeah.
It changes the dynamic of almost everything, 99% of them.
One of the big things that I've had in my business when I'm dealing with a difficult person, right? People love to yell at me, and I'm selling an intangible, in a situation where, hoping it works versus we know it'll work. That's a very fine line.
Sure.
Right? Because the insurance company ultimately has the final decision in a claim situation. Again, we've also established, and they're not necessarily in the business of paying claims. But one of the things that I've really had to work at is, hey man, this guy's a jerk. He is tough to deal with. And there's been times where I will put that off as a detriment to myself just because I don't want to deal with it, versus being that buffalo and just pushing forward and, hey, let's just get through this. Let's just have this conversation. As difficult as it might be, I need to do it. And if I only delay it, it's going to piss them off more.
So true, man. So true. And I honestly think, dude, that setting boundaries and learning how to set boundaries is super important, in doing it in a loving way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you can actually care about the person, you can say damn near anything you want. If you truly care about the outcome and it's not just for yourself, you can say almost anything you want to the person if they know that you care.
Yeah.
That's been, and you can even feel that. So I think keeping a little bit of love in your heart, not get quite so angry, and just respond in the best possible way that's going to be a win-win, and set a boundary. Like, hey, listen, man, I understand you feel a lot of frustration, but unfortunately, if we're going to get anything done, you got to stop talking to me like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that helps me a lot.
That's awesome. Let's talk about like community and relationships. How important are relationships to you?
Gee, Christmas, man. They're everything, right?
Stupid question.
Yeah. They're everything. Yeah. I mean, first of all, my wife is my greatest friend and my greatest ally and the greatest blessing in my life, and I'm grateful for that. And that's a relationship. But the relationships in business are, there's literally, from the time I started in BNI, the people I still, there's a guy that I work with still from when I worked at the glass company. He is still a friend of mine. We still do tons of work together. We still refer each other, and it's been 28 years.
Wow.
Super cool. And a lot of people that I knew back then. And so networking and getting to know the people in my community is massive. Being a part of the just different community networks and things like that. I would like to say that I haven't done as much as I should when it comes to, I know how much you do for the town of Gilbert and what you do for everything. It's huge. And I need to be more involved like that, instead of just in different networking groups and just things that pay for me. You do a lot of selfless stuff. I do a lot of free work for people and take care of a lot of people that I probably shouldn't, but I'm glad I do for our community, but I'd like to be more out in the community doing a little bit more stuff. It's been a challenge. A little bit.
Sometimes when I'm in the middle of those activities, I just think to myself, and maybe even I say it out loud, like, oh my gosh, all I ever wanted to do was sell insurance. And now I'm like at this like town retreat, talking about, municipal codes and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm sure. But it's a huge service to so many people. So I need to be more involved. But relationships are everything, man. If we can't build good relationships, in fact, I believe there's three pillars to happiness in life.
Tell me.
I believe the first one is gratitude. You have to have gratitude in your heart in some way or another to be able to actually experience joy and happiness. The second one is progress. We have to be progressing in some way or some form in our life to be able to feel true happiness. And the last one is connection. There has to be true connection with at least one person in your life to feel true happiness. Just the happiness of being, the happiness of the present, and to be able to find that joy and the power that comes from that joy. And it's all in those three pillars of happiness. And the connections that we gain in a community like you and I, we become friends and you gain these trusted people that you truly can trust. And that's a big deal, man. Besides just getting work from them, you have this community around you that trusts you and you can trust them. And that's a big deal to me.
You said something like that win-loss. And I think that that's huge. And in fact, I was talking with someone the other day, and I had a conversation with my wife about this last night. We were trying to cool down, so we went swimming. Boys went to bed, and it was like, let's go have some mommy daddy time in the pool. Nice. And to further that, I 100% agree with you that spousal relationship, that it has to become that backbone. And if you don't have it, then you're going to struggle. And I think that's, if somebody asked me what the key to success in my entrepreneurial career was, is somebody that believes in me more than I believe in myself. That's cool. But when it comes down to that, like I've heard people say, it's not that I must win, it's that you must lose.
Yeah.
And that type of attitude, like, I don't have competition. I have collaboration.
Love it.
Because if competing is way down here, but collaboration, and you touched on that earlier, where it's like, hey man, I might not be the best fit for you, but I might know someone who is. Yep. And I think that's pivotal.
Yeah, I agree.
In success.
And in building a strong community and strong relationships, right?
Yeah, all the ships will rise with the tide.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
Let's go into some rapid fire stuff.
All right, let's do it.
What's your favorite business book?
Ooh, dude, that's not rapid fire. Number one favorite book that ever helped me more than anything else would be Traction by Gino Wickman. My second one would be by Hal Elrod, Miracle Morning, which helped me a lot. Habits is by James Clear is my third, and one of my number one favorites is The Tortoise and the Hare.
Why?
Because there's everything you need to know about businesses in The Tortoise and the Hare.
I love that.
If you think it through and you let your mind meditate, you let God talk to you, whatever, everything in business can be learned, and doing business right can be learned from The Tortoise and the Hare.
Okay. I'm gonna revisit that. Now you got my brain thinking. I'm like, what's my next question?
I love it.
I have a book recommendation.
What's that?
And if I told you how I found it, you'd probably be like, whoa, what a psycho. Yeah. It's called The Greatest Salesman in the World, by O.G. Mandingo, I believe. And the way I found it was I was watching a Netflix series about the Menendez brothers, who unfortunately unalived their parents.
Unalived, yeah.
But if you watch that, and I remember it happened, I grew up in Southern California, and that was a pre-OJ thing, and my parents watched the trial and those types of things. So it interested me, and I was watching it, by myself at like 8:30 at night. Wife's dealing with the kids, and Jose Menendez, the father, came to this country during the Bay of Pigs from Cuba and was washing dishes in Florida. And he found one book, and he said, this is my Bible. I read this, and it's the key to my success. And he sat at the top of an entertainment company and was living in Beverly Hills, millions of dollars. And I thought to myself, what book is that?
Interesting.
You come to this country as a refugee and end up at the top of an entertainment company worth millions of dollars. What book is that? And in fact, he gives it to his sons and scratches out all the unimportant stuff and just leaves them all the important stuff.
Wow.
And it's smaller than my book. It's about 120 pages. It's called The Greatest Salesman in the World. You can skip to chapter 7 and read from about 7 to 12. A phenomenal book.
Wow.
But it gives you the how you treat others, how you treat yourself, how you act within the marketplace, and He talks about partnership relationships, those types of things. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it sounds like Stephen R. Covey's, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And the other one is the one that's called The Speed of Trust.
Yep.
By Stephen M. R. Covey.
Yeah, The Sun.
Dude, those two books sounded similar to what you're saying, but they're a lot longer than 120 pages. So I'll read yours again.
Yeah, I might need to Google summarize this for me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What's the best piece of advice you ever received?
Know your numbers. Dave. So I got to know Dave Ramsey pretty well. I worked in his EntreLeadership group for years, and I got to go and meet him and see his new building and his house and all this. And he just said he would repeat it over and over. Know your numbers. Just know your numbers. He's big on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Know your debt. Know your numbers. That was one of the biggest ones. And my brother, who's a very successful home builder up in Utah,
Mm-hmm.
he gave me another. He said when I first started my first business, he said just treat it like a baby, change its diapers, and give it food, and it'll grow.
I love that.
I thought that was pretty cool.
That's very cool.
Patient. He said just be patient.
Coffee or energy drink? You're a tip-top athlete. You're a world-class athlete.
I'm not that.
Doing Ironmans and all this kind of stuff. So,
dude, I would if I could have a choice. If I'm drinking breakfast, it's coffee. If I'm down and out a little bit and I need a little pickup, it's an energy drink.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I shouldn't admit that, but I do.
What's the biggest mistake you've ever learned from, or what's the biggest lesson you've learned from a mistake?
A massive mistake. Let's see. Dude, the hardest part is figuring out what the worst mistake was. So then narrow it down to what lesson. I think the greatest lesson I've ever learned is that, and it came from mistakes, but I'd have to say multiple mistakes in the fact that I would shy away from difficulty, and I believe that as a human race we shy away from difficult things. We're always looking for the peace and tranquility. We're looking for ease. We're looking for whatever, which, hey, listen, subsequently is probably the reason that we can believe that there might be a God, because we want lasting peace. We want a heaven.
Mm-hmm.
We're hungry for it, right? And part of the realization that there's water in this world is our thirst. Thirst creates a reality that there must be something to quench it. And similar to how we are with food, we're hungry, there must be food. We strive for ease and for tranquility and for peace. So maybe in another life there is more. And I love that thought. But to get to my point, I've learned that the greatest blessing in life is challenge, not ease. Take the stairs, walk, make your bed, different things like that. Every book I've ever read always talks about how you face the challenges. And early in my career and in my life, I avoided as many challenges as possible. I tried to find the easy route. I always took the elevator. The
rabbit, the tortoise and the hare.
Tortoise and the hare, yeah. Tried to take a nap. If I just avoid it over here, I won't have to worry about it. But it always comes back worse, and you never gain strength. And so, in fact, I used to say my spirit animal was a lion. Right? Tough.
Sure.
There's tons of cool reasons.
A lot of alpha males will say something like that, yeah.
But I've realized over time as I've changed in my learning and what my spirit animal now is, the one that I want to embody, is the mountain goat. He always enjoys the climb. He's never looking for the top. And he gets to experience a view that nobody else gets to.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He just enjoys the climb. And I think that's what I have learned more than anything, is that there is no easy way out, and the hard road is always the best road. My dad always said, it's following the path of least resistance that makes both men and rivers crooked.
Mm.
So I take the stairs, dude. That pisses my wife when we're there. So she'll always buy a hotel room that's on the ground level, because she knows I'm going to have to climb up a lot of stairs. So, yeah,
carrying luggage.
That's the stuff I've probably learned. That's my greatest lesson.
That's amazing. I'd consider myself a hummingbird. There's a lot of chaos. You got to stay up in the air. But if you watch their head is always right there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
If you could have lunch with any like entrepreneur, who would it be? I know you mentioned Dave Ramsey.
I love Dave. I've had lunch with Dave. Had dinner with him once. I would I think that Stephen Bartlett,
I'm not familiar with
Diary
him.
of a CEO.
Okay.
I would have lunch with him. He's he has one of the biggest podcasts. I mean, funny, we're on a podcast right now, but he has one of the biggest podcasts in the world. He's just extremely intelligent and just a good guy. I'd love to just talk to him about his experiences in life and get some feedback from him, I guess.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
That's awesome.
I have no idea what he's really like, but he seems like my kind of guy. So that's what I'd say.
What should every homeowner do right away to prevent a disaster?
Right away.
What could they do right now?
First thing is call your insurance agent. Have them review your policy. If it hasn't been reviewed in a long time, make sure that you talk to your agent or your broker. If you don't have a local agent or broker, get one. And then create a plan, right? Make sure your insurance is in order. Make sure it covers. You have enough limits to cover everything that might need to go wrong, might need to go bad. And then create a disaster plan. What happens if we have a disaster? What happens if we have a fire? What happens if we have a flood? Train your kids, teach your family. Just put together a little bit of an emergency plan.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. It probably would cut down a lot. Don't leave things on the floor that are of high value or sentimental, because sentimental loss is probably the biggest one.
Yeah.
So don't leave it on the ground where if there is a flood, and it will happen to you, it will happen to everybody. So don't leave things on the ground that you don't want to lose, just in case. Keep them off the ground.
Water's always going to go to that lowest point.
Yep.
What are you excited about over the next 12 months?
Well, I'm a new grandpa.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I love it.
That's amazing.
It is super cool. I am excited. I'm excited for my company to make some big moves. Plumbing's been a newer addition, and I'm excited for that to go forward. I'm excited for the things that are going to come with that, because we have a lot of plans, and I got some really, really great people that we've cultivated and got some good things going. So I think that's what I'm most excited for. I'm also excited for, I told you earlier that I probably wasn't going to do an Ironman this year, but there is a potential that I might do Panama City, Florida.
Okay.
So if that one's still open, I'll end up doing that one. I was going to sign up for Sacramento, but that one was full, I told you. So yeah, that's probably it.
Well, tell everybody what is involved in an Ironman.
All right. So, well, an Ironman race is it's a 2.4 mile swim.
Is that how you start?
Start
With the swim. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then you get out and you do 114 miles on a bike.
Wow.
Yeah. Sometimes hilly, sometimes not, sometimes flat, sometimes windy. And then you have 26.2 miles, a marathon at the end. So it's a heck of a long thing. I've done a couple of half Ironmans, and those are a lot more enjoyable. And,
I feel like my thighs are chapped just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's a lot.
A lot of monkey butt going on.
Yeah.
Danjee, tell us the best way that someone can connect with Gateway Plumbing and Restoration, your contact information, and where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can reach out to us online at gpraz.com. That's Gateway Plumbing and Restoration, so gpraz.com. You can also call us at 480-338-2331, and we are 24/7 all the time, even on holidays. Man, we don't get a break. So those are the best ways to do it. You can text us right from our website. We have a text machine, text AI there that can text right directly to us at night. We, however, don't answer those 24/7, so it's best just to call if it's an emergency. But yeah, those are the best ways.
Awesome. Danjee, I really appreciate you being here. You've helped my clients out, and I appreciate you taking the time. Congratulations on your granddaughter and everything that's happening. I really appreciate you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you.
Awesome. If you'd like to be featured on Casey's Corner, please reach out to me directly. Follow us on all the socials, all that good stuff. Grab the book. If you want a free one, I'll get it for you. Thanks very much. Have a great day.